The first time my son-in-law barged into my home, I thought it was a misunderstanding. The second time, I realized it was arrogance. But by the third, I knew exactly what kind of man my daughter had married. It was a quiet Sunday morning. I had just finished watering my roses when I heard loud laughter coming from the driveway. My heart sank. The unmistakable roar of music and careless shouts meant only one thing: Eric had arrived. My son-in-law. He didn't knock, didn't call, didn't even text. The front door burst open before I could reach it. "Hey, Mom," he called, his voice thick with fake cheer as he stomped in with muddy boots. Behind him, three of his friends, grown men acting like teenagers, trailed with beer cans in their hands. The scent of alcohol mixed with cheap cologne filled the air. I stood there, frozen, the watering can still in my hand. "Eric," I said tightly, "what are you doing here?" "Just hanging out," he said with a grin, as if that explained everything. "Thought I'd bring the boys over to watch the game. You've got that huge TV, right?" My hands trembled, partly from anger, partly from disbelief. "This is my home," I said quietly. "You can't just." "Oh, come on, Mom," he interrupted, throwing himself onto my couch. "We're family. Don't be so uptight." His friends laughed and made themselves comfortable. One went straight to my kitchen, opening the refrigerator like it was his own. Another dropped onto my armchair with his dirty shoes on the footrest. I looked around, my chest tightening. Every inch of my house, my late husband's paintings, the rug we bought on our honeymoon, even the antique clock from my grandmother, suddenly felt invaded. "Where's Lily?" I asked. My daughter, his wife, was the only reason I tolerated him at all. "She's out with the girls," he said, waving dismissively. "Don't worry, she knows I'm here." Something told me she didn't. For the next hour, my living room became a chaos of noise. Empty cans clattered to the floor. They shouted at the TV. One even smoked by the window, ignoring the fact that I had told him not to. I tried to stay calm, reminding myself that Lily loved him, that he was her husband. But when he started yelling for snacks like a spoiled child, I snapped. "Eric, that's enough," I said firmly. "You and your friends need to leave." He looked up, surprised. "Excuse me, you heard me. Out." He laughed. A deep, mocking sound. "You're serious? We just got here. I don't care. This isn't a bar. It's my home." He stood, his smile fading. "You know, Mom, you're kind of disrespectful. I'm part of this family now. That means this house is part mine too." Those words hit me like a slap. I stared at him, my voice trembling. "Part yours? This house belonged to my husband and me. It's in my name alone. You have no right to even touch the doorknob without my permission." His friends shifted uncomfortably, but Eric only smirked. "Relax, old lady. We're not hurting anyone. You should be happy someone's bringing life into this place." That was the moment I decided something had to change. They stayed for another hour, leaving the living room looking like a storm had hit it. When they finally left, I locked the door behind them and sat in silence, staring at the mess. My hands shook as I picked up the empty cans. My heart ached. Not just for the disrespect, but for the realization that my daughter had chosen this man. That evening, Lily came by. I told her what happened. She looked torn, her eyes darting away. "Mom, I'm sorry. I told him not to come over without asking, but he doesn't listen sometimes. He thinks you don't like him." "I don't dislike him," I said softly. "I just don't like the way he behaves." "There's a difference." She sighed. "I'll talk to him." "Okay." I nodded, though I doubted her words would change anything. For a while, things were quiet. Weeks passed, and I began to hope he had learned his lesson. Then one Friday night, just as I was settling down to read, headlights flashed across my window again. Laughter followed. My stomach twisted. The door flew open. Eric and his friends stumbled in, louder and rowdier than ever. "We're back, Mom," he shouted. Something inside me snapped. I stood up slowly, setting my book aside. "Eric," I said, my voice calm but cold, "this is the last time you'll walk into my home without an invitation." He laughed, raising his beer. "You gonna stop me?" I smiled faintly. "Yes," I said, "I am." He didn't know it yet, but I had already started planning. I would teach him respect, not with shouting or pleading, but with a lesson he'd never forget. Because this was my house. And in my house, I made the rules. The next time he barged in, I would be ready. 2 days after that Friday night invasion, I sat at the kitchen table sipping my morning tea, thinking. The laughter from that evening still echoed in my head. The smell of spilled beer clung to the couch. I wasn't angry anymore, I was determined. Eric needed to learn a lesson, one that words couldn't teach. I'd spent years raising a daughter to know right from wrong, to respect boundaries, and now this arrogant man-child thought he could trample over both. He believed my silence was weakness. He was about to learn how wrong he was. I started with a call to my neighbor, Henry, a retired police officer and dear friend of my late husband. Henry, I said, lowering my voice, I need a bit of advice about trespassing laws. He chuckled. Someone giving you trouble, Margaret? Let's just say my son-in-law has mistaken my hospitality for surrender. By the time we finished the conversation, I had a plan. I wasn't going to confront Eric with yelling or threats. I'd use his arrogance against him. That week, I installed a new smart lock system with security cameras, all linked to my phone. I even put up a small notice by the front door, private property, entry by permission only. It wasn't just for show, it was legal protection. Then I called Lily. Sweetheart, I said gently, I'd like to invite you and Eric for dinner this Sunday. A proper family meal. No friends, no noise. Just us. She sounded relieved. That's nice, Mom. He's been saying you're still mad at him. Oh, not mad, I replied calmly. Just ready to clear the air. When Sunday came, I prepared everything perfectly. The table was set, the roast chicken filled the house with warmth, and soft jazz played in the background. At 6 sharp, I heard a car outside. But it wasn't just one. 2 vehicles pulled up. I peered out the window, and there they were. Eric and, of course, his friends. 5 of them this time. I clenched my jaw, my heartbeat steady. This was it. The door handle rattled, then stopped. The new lock held firm. Eric banged on the door. Mom, what's going on? Why's the door locked? I opened the door slightly, keeping the chain on. Good evening, Eric. Where's Lily? She's running late, he said, shrugging. But don't worry, we brought the party. Party, I repeated. He grinned, holding up a 6-pack. You said dinner. I figured the boys could join. You've got plenty of food, right? I tilted my head, smiling faintly. Eric, the invitation was for family. Not your friends. He rolled his eyes. They're practically family. Don't be dramatic. Open up. I didn't move. No, Eric, you're not coming in. His smirk faded. You can't keep me out. This is my wife's family home. That means nothing, I cut in. You have no legal right to enter this house without my consent. And for the record, you're now being recorded. He blinked. What? I gestured toward the doorframe, where a small camera's red light blinked. Smile for the camera, dear. You're about to make a fool of yourself. His friends shifted uncomfortably. One of them muttered, maybe we should go, man. But Eric puffed his chest. You're not serious, Margaret. You wouldn't call the cops on your own son-in-law. I smiled. Wouldn't I? Then I stepped back and pressed a button on my phone. A loud alarm blared through the porch speaker. Eric stumbled back, startled. Leave my property, I said firmly, my voice carrying over the noise. Now, he tried to shout something, but my neighbor Henry appeared across the yard, his phone in hand. Problem here, Margaret? None at all, I said. Just a few uninvited guests leaving. Eric's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. You're embarrassing me. Good, I said coolly. Maybe next time, you'll remember your manners. He cursed under his breath and stomped away, his friends following like scolded children. Their cars roared off into the night. When the noise faded, I turned off the alarm and took a deep breath. My hands were steady. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't begged. I'd simply taken back control. An hour later, Lily arrived, confused. Mom, what happened? Eric said you locked him out. I did, I replied simply. Because he brought his friends. Again. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. Mom, you're making things worse. He just wants to feel accepted. Respect comes before acceptance, Lily, I said softly. He can't treat this house like a playground. And you shouldn't let him treat you that way either. She was quiet for a long time, her eyes glistening. You don't understand him, she whispered. No, I said. I understand him perfectly. You're the one who doesn't want to. She left shortly after, angry and hurt. I watched her car disappear, my heart heavy. I knew she'd go home and tell him everything. But I also knew that by standing my ground, I'd drawn a line that couldn't be crossed again. Still, something told me Eric wasn't finished. His pride wouldn't let him lose so easily. And I was right, because 3 nights later, long after midnight, I woke to the sound of footsteps outside my window, and a voice muttering, "She thinks she can lock me out." Eric had come back. Alone. But this time, I was ready. The sound of Eric's voice outside my window sent a cold chill through my veins. It wasn't fear, exactly, it was anger sharpened by resolve. He had crossed the line for the last time. I didn't move right away. I sat perfectly still on the edge of my bed, listening. The soft crunch of shoes on gravel. The faint clink of metal against the back door handle. He was trying to get in quietly this time. The arrogance of the man, trespassing into his wife's mother's home at midnight. I picked up my phone and opened the security app. The cameras showed him clearly, swaying a little, smelling of drink, fumbling at the back door with something shiny in his hand. A key. My old key, the one Lily used to have. He must have made a copy. I pressed the record button. His every move was captured. When the door clicked open, I didn't rush to stop him. I wanted him to step fully inside. The motion sensor lights turned on as soon as he entered the kitchen, flooding the room in harsh white light. He froze. "Good evening, Eric," I said from the hallway. My voice echoed across the tiles, calm and deliberate. He turned sharply, blinking. "What the, Margaret? Why are you up?" "Because I expected you," I said, walking closer. "You've made a habit of breaking into my home. I thought you might try again." His face twisted into a sneer. "Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic. I just needed to grab my jacket. Lily left it here." I looked at his empty hands, his wild eyes, the way his breath reeked of whiskey. "There's no jacket here. You're drunk. And now, you're trespassing." He scoffed. "I'm family. You can't call it trespassing when it's family." I smiled faintly. "Watch me." I tapped the screen on my phone, and a loud beep sounded. The camera above the kitchen door flashed red, recording every second. Eric looked up at it, startled. "What's that?" "Evidence," I said. "You just broke into a locked home after being told not to." "That's a crime, Eric. A serious one." He laughed, but it was shaky now. "You wouldn't press charges. You wouldn't dare." I took a slow step toward him. "You underestimate me again. The difference between you and me, Eric, is that I've lived long enough to know when someone needs to be taught a hard lesson. And you, well, you're overdue." Before he could speak, headlights flashed through the front window. Then a sharp knock rattled the front door. Eric flinched. "Who's that?" "Officer Henry," I said calmly. "I told him to come by tonight, just in case my midnight guest showed up." Eric's mouth fell open. "You set me up." "No," I said softly. "You set yourself up. I just turned on the lights." The knock came again, firmer this time. "Margaret, you all right in there?" "Yes, Henry," I called out. "Come in." Eric stepped back, his face pale. "You can't. This will ruin me." "Then you should have thought of that before treating my house like your playground." Henry entered, uniformed and serious. When he saw Eric, his expression hardened. "Evening, Mr. Daniels. I suggest you take your hands out of your pockets." Eric stammered. It's a misunderstanding. I was just." "She has it all on video," Henry interrupted, nodding at my phone. "You're on private property without consent. That's enough for an arrest." The room went quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I watched Eric's arrogance crumble. His shoulders sagged. The smirk he always wore was gone, replaced by shame, or maybe fear. "Please," he muttered. "Don't call Lily. She'll kill me." I looked at him long and hard. "You should be more worried about losing her respect than her anger." Henry gave me a questioning glance. "You want to press charges?" For a long moment, I said nothing. Then I shook my head. "Not tonight. Let him go," with a warning. Henry frowned but nodded. "Fine. But if it happens again, we won't be so kind." He turned to Eric. "You're lucky. Now get out before I change my mind." Eric left silently, his head bowed, every step heavy with humiliation. When the front door shut behind him, the house fell into a peaceful, fragile silence. Henry turned to me. "You sure you don't want to file anything official?" "I'm sure," I said quietly. "Tonight was enough. He'll remember it." And he did. The next morning, Lily arrived, her eyes swollen from crying. "Mom, what did you do?" "Eric came home furious, saying you called the cops on him." I met her gaze steadily. "He broke into my house, Lily. He left me no choice." She covered her face. "He said you're trying to destroy our marriage." I sighed. "I'm trying to save you from one built on disrespect. If he truly loves you, he'll change. If not, you'll know soon enough." She didn't answer. She just nodded weakly and left. Weeks passed in uneasy quiet. Then one afternoon, Lily came by again, alone. Her eyes were calm this time, not angry. Mom, she said softly, I moved out. I'm staying with a friend. I took her hand, my heart aching. I'm sorry it came to that. She shook her head. Don't be. You were right. That night you caught him, it made him think. He admitted he'd been out of control. He's getting help, trying to fix things. But I need time apart. I squeezed her hand gently. That's all I ever wanted, for you to see the truth yourself. That night, as I sat by the window watching the sun set behind the roses, peace finally settled over my house again. No more shouting. No more disrespect. Just quiet. The kind my husband used to love. And though I hadn't set out to destroy Eric, I had done what needed to be done. He thought he could barge into my life, into my home, without consequence. But I taught him the one lesson every man should learn. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned.